Hello, this is Pete Ekstrom. And for the past 13 semesters, I, along with Professor Howard Markovitz, have been teaching sales and marketing communication to undergraduate students at the Lubin School of Business, Pace University in New York City. I came to the school out of my contribution to the sales profession, something I created called the Gold Call Script Builder Kit, a communications program which choreographs the interactive dialogue exchange salespeople have with prospective customers in both speech and in text messaging. The Lubin School of Business is one of 239 schools that offer an undergraduate bachelor's degree in direct sales and marketing. We also field a varsity sales team, and we compete against other business schools in a competition setting fashioned much like America's Got Talent, where judges evaluate the quality of student sales calls, presentations, and other sales-related activities. Students win cash prizes, some win scholarships, but most importantly, they compete for the recognition of their peers. We also partner with a variety of companies to provide them access to fully trained, work-ready, inside sales SDRs for their company. Now, I'd like to take a moment to thank you. I want to thank you specifically for your attention. There must have been something about what I said or mentioned in my message to you that caught your attention, and you made a conscious decision to give me some of your attention to see whether I am worth any more of your attention, which brings me to my next point about the attention economy we live in and its impact on business today. 20 years ago, this book, written by two eccentric consultants, Davenport and Beck, forecasted the challenges that companies were going to face in the internet economy. They phrased it and they called it the attention economy. And thanks to the internet, cell phones, Wi-Fi, and the information age, time and attention are in short supply. So much so that attention can be considered a form of currency. Do you give away money to anyone just because they asked you? Of course not. And the same goes for who you give your attention and time to. There must be a good reason, and the potential benefit to you must be clear and concise. Otherwise, you keep your hand on your wallet to protect your time and attention from being stolen. Now, people, in an effort to keep their attention from being stolen, have developed some form of a circuit breaker, what I call an attention filter, that trips, shuts down when they sense someone is trying to steal their attention. And you know when someone is trying to steal your attention or waste your time in the opening seconds of any conversation you have. In the attention economy, first impressions of you are formed in real time. It happens in an instant. And if one does not have the talent that it takes to capture the instant attention of sales prospects, odds are they will be chasing attention in conversation. That means talking too much. And it's anyone's guess if they'll get enough attention to close for a clear and defined next step in the sales process. Too much sales pitch trips the attention filter. You can't talk to people today like you used to. Today, in order to capture the instant attention of other people, you need to parse your words and phrase your speech in ways that make it easier for people to understand you. Your words and dialogue needs to be placed in a logical order so that prospects have an easy time following along with you in conversation. In other words, you make it easier for prospects to understand. And understanding comes before selling. Attention is the first sale you close in any business. Now, when I realized that during sales calls I was stumbling over my words, talking too fast, talking too much, in other words, driving attention away, I recognized the need to break down my dialogue, my introduction of myself to another person, into small segments, into pieces, to make it easier for my sales prospects to digest what I was saying. What am I calling about? So I created a dialogue that takes into account the short attention span of your average human being and started boxing my dialogue into 5 easy steps illustrated here. It helps me, or anyone else for that matter, close a new sales appointment with a prospect inside of a simple 4-minute phone call or a simple text message exchange. And it looks like this in practice. All sales calls should start with an icebreaker, but you should never assume that the prospect is paying attention to you. So you ask a question by hoping you might have 10 seconds to explain the call. Don't ask people if they have a second. Did I catch you at a good time? Those cliche phrases are worn out. The prospects have heard them before, and it will trip the attention filter. So why don't we try something different? Because daring to be different attracts attention. I'm hoping I might have 10 seconds to explain my call. It's refreshing. And 98% of the time, we found that prospects will give you the benefit of the doubt and give you another 10 seconds to tell them why you're calling. All product and services, no matter how tailored, configured, schematics, blueprints, no matter how complicated they are, it's all lemonade. You need to explain the purpose your product or service gives to the buying market in simple terms like describing lemonade, which, by the way, is a cold drink sold to thirsty people. The demand is thirst, the supply is lemonade. And the simple question is, are you thirsty? So in this exercise, you might want to take a look at your product or service and see if you can explain the purpose you serve to a buying market in 10 words or less. Give it a try. The next thing that you want to do is make sure you're talking to the right person. Remember that you can't sell anything to anyone unless they're connected to the problem you solve, and they have the ability to solve the problem and certainly are committed to solving the problem. So rather than go on and ramble on with an elevator pitch, I want to ask a question. Again, questions give birth to conversation. So when it comes to handling this problem, how much personal involvement do you have with that part of your business? How much personal focus do you give to solving problems with X? Whatever it is, it's an open-ended question. And ask the question if you're bold enough, and then be patient enough to wait for an answer. The goal of any call to a sales prospect is to gather information, not give it away. The more you talk, the deeper in quicksand you sink. After you've determined that you are, in fact, speaking with the right person, now you want to close for attention. And that's the whole key behind simple cold call dialogue. I'm closing for attention. I'm negotiating for the attention of another person by asking a question in the form of a reasonable request. If I can, will you? If I can solve the following problems for half the money within 30 days and deliver better quality than your current supplier, would I get any of your attention? When that rolls off your tongue naturally, it's comfortable for you to speak it, and it's also easy for the prospect to answer. We're simply looking for more of your attention at a time when you won't be distracted by other things, where we can both explore the possible fit for the service or product that I provide in relation to the problem or challenge you're facing. It's that simple. So we keep things simple. Understand, we don't want to trip the attention filter, so the first thing I want to do is just close for attention. And then the next question is the scheduling question. Are you looking at your calendar? Can you look at your calendar? I'd like to get better acquainted and see where we might have a fit, and then leave it to you to decide if we should talk further. Is that fair? That's the deal you need to make with a person you meet for the very first time to get them interested in your product or service. They're not interested in how it works. They're interested in what it'll do for them. And if they're willing to give you the time of day on their calendar to explore the possible fit for the product or service you provide, it's called discovery. That's it. Will you hear me out? And we'll both, as a team, figure out whether or not we have a future. So in 5 steps, you should be able to go from hello to talk to you next week inside of a 4-minute phone call. If your sales calls to prospects are lasting more than 10, 15 minutes, you're talking too much. And remember that a prospect that does most of the listing is no prospect at all. Okay, so we provide a plethora of continuing education e-learning resources for the Gold Call dialogue, audio, video, and all sorts of documentation that helps people practice the catalyst dialogue that turns on the attention button of sales prospects, complete strangers. We want to make it easy for people to acclimate to a new way of speaking to people in business. Now, if you are interested in partnering with us and would like to learn more about our recruiting efforts and the Gold Call curriculum, let's schedule a time to discuss what we might do together, see where we might have a possible fit. And I look forward to meeting you. I thank you again for your time, and I hope our paths cross real soon.